We're back.
We're back.
So today, I figured we'd talk about, or we figured we would touch on following up and how important it is to us, how it's gotten us many deals,
Yeah.
and how I think, in my opinion, someone who's good at following up is the difference between a maybe a high performer and somebody that's okay in sales or business. Um, how about you? How's following up, the process of following up in your business been for you?
I religiously follow up. It's something that it's been ingrained in me from the beginning. I had a really good mentor, and he told me when I got started, hey, the key to your success is going to be eradicated on your follow ups.
Yeah.
And I never forgot it. I
Amen.
had good mentors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's good
follow ups
advice.
is like religion. I follow it to the
Yeah.
letter.
And you're really good at remembering things. That's one thing I've noticed. Like if somebody says, "Hey,
Thank
call
you.
me yeah, call me next week." You remember to call them next week, and I know that um you use a journal a lot, and I
I
wanted to
do.
ask you about that. But I wanted to open with the reason we even were talking about following up was because I told you, hey, I just called this gentleman. I just followed up with him, and we're making him an offer on his fourplex,
Correct.
and we've met with him twice, more than that, but sat down with him, made him an offer, kind of went back and forth. He's kind of stopped answering us for some time, but every once in a while, a couple months, 3 months, whatever, I'll send a letter or I'll give him a call, and I follow up. And I told you, hey, I just followed up with him. He said, you did?
That was today.
Today.
Yeah.
And,
I think it's brilliant.
but you were also maybe a little bit surprised that I'm still reaching out because he's not responding
No.
anymore.
He
It's flatlined.
that's right.
So, when should one stop following up in a situation like that, from your opinion?
Never.
Well, I mean, you don't want to harass the person either,
True.
and I think that's the big thing is a good following up technique is not harassing. You don't want
Correct.
to harass somebody.
So, in someone like this, I the number of contacts diminish, okay? Because I want to give people a chance to breathe and, I don't know what's going on, but I'll tell you the mistake that I've made in the past where if the person is not returning the call, I think, "Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, did I offend this gentleman? Oh, did I say the wrong thing?" You're always looking introspectively to what have I done.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have realized over the years is that in my case, in my particular case, it wasn't necessarily that I did something wrong. It's just that that particular person was going, number one, through a lot, and number two, the time was not right for them. It wasn't a personal issue,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Um, as I went through this path, I got better at following up. So, if you go to the beginning, to my beginnings, maybe my follow ups were somewhat crude, and then you polish it as you go through the years. It's like a diamond in the rough, and you start polishing a little here, there, until you make a perfection. But you won't get here unless you start here. And there's one way to shorten that path, and that's to get a mentor and have that mentor show you and tell you how to do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
I think that's good advice. I think that, but the process of following up, like you said, a mentor is going to give you their best take,
right,
but then you have to make it your own,
right.
and a mentor can't teach you that.
No,
That's you through trial and error, and then what's natural to you. Because I remember I sold a lot of life insurance, and retirement.
Uh-huh.
And I remember a lot of people telling me that I spoke very low. So when I would be with a customer, I was very low key, but that's the way that I naturally was speaking to them. I
Mm-hmm.
felt it was a serious topic and I'm not going to be cracking jokes. However, the more comfortable I got and the better I got at it, I did start cracking jokes and feeling the customer out and seeing what they were, if they were open and fun to maybe it wasn't so serious. So over the years, I took a different approach, but initially it was very low key. But I remember, like you would also say, raise your voice. Paul would tell me, "Hey, you speak so low, we can't hear you, and you're just right there." So, but that was my approach.
Right.
So that's the thing is that you have to figure out your approach. But in terms of following up, the other day, a story that I thought was kind of funny. Someone that we know, we won't mention who, said, "I've emailed this person, I've called, and they haven't replied, and then so I can't do anything," or something like along those lines. It wasn't exactly that, but it was basically the deal's flatlined. And then I said, "Well, you can show up."
To his front door.
Yeah, you can show up to their door.
Go.
Now that seems a little bit out there, but I've done it. Now I didn't do it to somebody's house.
Well, right. See, put it in perspective because
Right.
this is a business
Yes.
as opposed to
Correct.
a private party.
Yes.
This particular person you're talking about is in business. It's open for business.
You can show up to their business.
That's right.
And-
So
Yeah, and that's the thing that when I did it was I was following up with a gentleman. I knew it was a bigger deal. He was a cool guy, really light, but he was always brushing me off. But he knew he wanted to get the policy. I knew he wanted to get the policy, but he just kept brushing me off. So I finally just said, you know what? I just showed up, and I wrote the policy.
So you didn't tell him when you were coming.
No. And I ended up writing it, and it worked out. However, to do a full circle to that story, eventually, because the person was not the most responsible, like they let their policy cancel, the payments weren't going through. So at the end of the day, the person did not keep the policy because they were not good with their money. And maybe that's a sign that maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe that was the deal that I didn't. But at the time, I didn't know. I just showed up and I kept following up. And I think you can write letters, you can do emails, you can do a text, you can do a phone call, a postcard, show up. There's so many different ways, and I give a lot of credit to when I would listen to Grant Cardone a lot.
Uh-huh.
And
He's brutal. He'll never drop you.
you follow up on social media, on TikTok, on this, on that, Instagram. Like, all of those are points of contact. Now, I think from my perspective, you don't want to harass somebody or no. But this person, I felt comfortable enough to show up to their business.
Good.
And he welcomed me, So anyways, the following up game is, I think, something that... Now, I wanted to talk about your journal because I think that helps you in your follow-up.
Absolutely.
Now, you use a physical journal.
Yes. I'm old school to the max on that. And so, actually, some people talk about journals and some people talk about ledgers. And I've gone to seminars where they describe them totally different. My journal is the activities and the stuff that I have done for the day or for the week or whatever. And my ledger is setting up like my week coming up and so forth. And so I didn't want to keep two things. So what I did is, it's like you say, you combine it and make it your own. I made it my own. So I needed to make it simple for myself. So my journal is a mix of ledger and journal. Okay?
And calendar, right? It's a calendar.
It's a calendar. And so if I'm going to, so what I do, what's worked best for me is I prepare my week, okay? Usually Saturday night or Sunday night. So by preparing means I open up to the week that's coming. And if I already have some appointments set up, I just log it in at that time, whatever day it is. Okay? But I developed that with what happened there. Not a soap opera. I mean, you don't have enough space anyway. But I put the most important stuff that happened
You go back
daily.
daily and you write what occurred on that day.
Yes, that to me has been extremely, extremely useful.
Yeah.
Because as I move forward, I can go back and I can see the nitty gritty of that day. I can relive that day.
Yeah.
Now I've gotten really, really good because I've been doing this quote unquote journaling since God created the heavens and the earth. I remember, I told you since early I had pretty good mentors. So I have journals that go back to 1990, 1991, 1992. I wasn't journaling in the beginning, so I spent 4 years. I opened my business in 1986. So, but as I go back, in the journal it says, "Oh, I saw Mr. Frederick today."
Yeah.
Mr. Frederick, and I look at it, and there's not too much detail where I can reconstruct that, and it's very not upsetting, but it's disappointing. I want to know because I know that person was I have a little star by it. If I put a little star by it, it means it's very important. So it had 2 stars. And who, Mr. Frederick? I mean, we're going back. What did we talk about? And then you really have to pull it. You have to fish for it and pull it out of the cobwebs of your
Yeah, it takes
computer.
Makes you go back to what you were doing back then, which is pretty cool.
And you still can reconstruct all of it. So now I would say something like, I saw Mr. Frederick regarding his fourplex, made him an offer. He's going to refi first, whatever. Just
more detail.
Keywords.
Yeah.
And now I can.
Yeah. Because, so you started journaling and putting notes and follow-up before any sort of online CRM and management systems were available.
Yes.
Now that there's management systems, it can help with a lot of that. However, you still choose to do the physical journaling, writing down.
I do for the simple reason that I'm on the streets a lot. I am constantly talking to people, either door knocking, having breakfast, having lunch with people.
Yeah.
I'm big on the face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
I'd rather do a presentation in front of 30 people. I'd rather do, if someone, be part of a panel in front of 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how my constant contact is. Now, I do have those, and my staff helps me with that. We send birthday cards and this and that.
Yeah.
But I'm not involved with that. It's just an automatic thing that my staff.
Yeah, your day-to-day is the journal.
The journal.
And I think it's good because it's very easy for you to go back and pull it up and add notes. And I know that there's a lot of cool things that an application or a management system can also do.
Of course.
But I do think you lose something when you're not writing down and maybe scratching out and checking off on it physically.
I think so too.
I think so.
There's more involvement. It's you're writing, so that's a different mechanism. You're thinking, okay, you're using your brain, and you have to, you get to that date, and then you have little things that are like a key source to you. Like if I put a little star, it means it's important. If I put a question mark, it means we weren't quite sure what direction to take on that, or how did that meeting develop. Little things like that.
Yeah, your own reference little key box.
Right.
Yeah. So as far as following up, because I'm thinking, we're saying in general, like you can follow up in many different ways. What's been the best way for you in terms of communicating, following up with people? Is it through an email, a phone call, a text?
Okay, for
What's
me,
worked for you in the? Let's talk in the recent follow-ups you've done.
okay, well, recently I've changed. And potentially it may be because I'm getting older, okay? Uh, Let me take that back. It definitely is because I'm getting older. Not being, not potentially. It definitely is because I will pull the trigger at the speed of light today in terms of, hey, whatever happened with this person? Well, I don't know. Do we? And if there's, if we're not sure about something, I pick up the phone and I call that person immediately.
So you do phone calls.
Yeah.
That's your primary, your number one way of following up.
Following up with prospects. I do a tremendous amount of texting with my staff.
Right, right. No, we're talking prospect
Right.
sales,
Right.
following up with customers.
I call immediately.
Got it.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And once I develop a relationship, okay, because I know some of these people are busy.
Yeah.
So, and then following up, look, the first thing I do when I call someone is, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great, thank you. Did I catch you at a good time? Do you have a moment to speak? Or, if
Yeah.
not, so those are my first two questions.
Very polite, non-invasive.
Absolutely. This is not a follow-up that, like I'm going to grab you by the throat and you got to listen
Yeah.
to what I have to tell you because I want to sell this product. And
No.
that's not it.
You're trying to build a relationship. You're trying to build
Most
a
certainly.
connection.
Most certainly.
Yeah. You're not trying to sell them something over the phone.
No.
Yeah.
And I pride myself on being extremely courteous with people,
Mm-hmm.
even those that are rude with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take crap from people. I'm not going to take baloney, okay? But I don't have a short fuse for that.
You kill them with kindness.
Yeah, that's my thing, okay? So, but those are the first, hey,
A
how
phone
are
call.
you? Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Everything okay? Yeah, great. And did I catch you at a good time? Those are my first two things. So that's how I do my follow-up, okay? And if they give me green light, then we talk. Because sometimes you call somebody and they're doing something extremely important.
Yeah. You have to give them.
Like the call we got right now before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
I decided to talk to that gentleman.
Right.
And I said, wait a minute. And then they got a little bit more, I need to get back to him. I told him, look, I need to do this. But I answer his
Yeah.
first question. And then the second one we're going to leave for tomorrow.
Yeah. You could let people know, hey, I'm about to do this. I'm about to get into a meeting or whatever.
And they were very
But
understanding.
How can I help you? Yeah. Well, one thing is about being polite and then also not pushy, where you ask them, did I catch you at a good time? And, can we speak a little bit? When I was doing a lot of training with offices, different agencies, and getting the team kind of going on how to set appointments and how to sell certain life insurance, I told them, and this was my approach, don't try to sell them the product on the phone on your follow-up call. At least that's my approach. This is just my approach. So if I'm calling you and I'm saying, hey, and let's say I'm trying to sell you an insurance policy or I'm trying to buy your property, I'm not going to try to close the deal on that phone call, because that's pressuring, and that's, maybe I didn't catch you at a good time, or maybe it is a good time, but my approach is I just want to set a time to speak with you or meet with you. Like, for example, the voicemail that I left this gentleman that we've been following up with for quite some time on his fourplex is, let's see when we can get together for coffee. That was my call.
Very light.
We'd love to get together again for coffee. We met twice already. And let's continue the conversation. But I'm not saying I'm trying to buy you this and that. Or if he answers the phone, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, let's get together. Let's talk again. So I'm not trying to close the deal on the phone call. And I think what a lot of people do is because, it's sales, you're hungry, you want to sell, you got to make money, is they try to follow up and close it right there.
Right. Well, I totally agree. I totally agree. Because you don't want to pressure people into doing things.
Yeah.
Okay? There are some people that need guidance, certain guidance.
Yeah.
But you definitely don't want to pressure people to do things.
No, no.
You know, you give options and then you help them if they need help to pick options, and then you tell them, hey, you sure about this?
Yeah.
You know, and then you move on, you know. Um, some people will say, hey, look, if the person doesn't want to talk to you, he's telling you he doesn't want to talk to you. He or she is telling you he or she does not want to talk to you by not returning your calls. And
Sometimes.
there's something to be said about that,
Yeah.
you know? And continuous follow up on something like that could be construed as harassment. The person on the other end might say, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so tired of this person, you know? But at the end of the day, we're salespeople, you know? They can call us and tell us, hey, listen, don't call me anymore. And at that point, you say, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we apologize if
Usually, I don't have people say, "Don't call me anymore."
I've never had anybody tell me that.
But I have had people say, "Oh no, I'm just not interested."
Right. Well, yeah.
And then with them, you could say, would it be all right maybe a year from now to check in with you?
And if they say no,
Then you leave it alone.
leave it alone. So there's also a point in time when you know when to quit.
Yeah. But some people, sure, why not? They don't think you're gonna call in a year.
Right.
I remember following up. The person was.
But we will.
Yeah.
If you tell us, we will call you.
I remember following up. I think took me 2 years to close one deal. It was a very big deal, but it took me 2 years of consistent. Well, yeah, I would spread it out every X amount of times, and I would follow up in different ways. I wasn't just calling and leaving voicemails like that,
Right.
And they would say, "Hey, Mike, I'm busy. Can you call me, in a few months or whatever?" Anyways, I think it took me 2 years. But yeah, I mean, that's it. Especially when you're starting, I think you need to do it.
For sure.
You gotta follow.
We have
up.
all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Patrick Bet-David, and I know I'm going to butcher this, but I think there was one case when he's doing one of his podcasts, and he says, hey, there was one guy that very, very prominent and, successful man. He called him like 15 times. But then once he closed him, he closed another one and another big one. That guy was a referral source. And then, he called 15 times or more. Yeah. Once he closed this guy, the guy was so grateful that he referred another person, and boom, 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 mm-hmm. It made up for the time that he was following up.
Yeah.
And look at the gentleman that we met this morning by chance. He was talking about in a handshake, he could figure out in a handshake if you were going to buy his product or not on the first meeting.
Yeah, he was a stockbroker.
That's interesting to me. So then he went on to evaluate your handshake with him as opposed to my handshake with him.
Yeah.
And that was interesting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he knows body language.
Yeah, he apparently is a master at that. And the other thing that was interesting is that he said that he could look at the handwriting of a person and figure out what was going on in their life, let's say. And that's interesting. It's a totally different field of which I know nothing about, so I'm not qualified to speak.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because what is more personal than your own handwriting? As I'm thinking, this happened this morning, I'm sure that if somebody sees my handwriting, they would probably figure out I have a tremendous amount of issues.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's very interesting because what's more personal than your handwriting, right?
Super. It's very interesting.
Very interesting.
The way you stand, the way that you shake hands, the way, all of that, your posture. So, but one thing that, the other side is like, hey, we believe in following up, and we believe in, because that's part of sales. I also approach it as like, how would I how would I treat my uncle, my aunt, my relative? I'm not gonna be. I don't want to bother the people. I don't want to, because some people are very very pushy, and that I don't think is that's not pleasant for anybody. So
I don't
I,
like it.
no, I think newer people in sales that are trying to follow up. I've had it where they're trying to push so hard that it's a complete turn off to the conversation. And so I think you have to be tactful in the follow up. It's not just contacts. It's also you gotta
Yeah, yeah. You have
read
to be
people.
courteous and tactful
Yeah,
and
listen and read the person.
right. I mean, you've told me you've had people approach you in the supermarket, right?
Oh yeah,
To try to sell you.
yeah. Usually it's a multi-level marketing.
Yes, a multi-level marketing.
It's usually some sort of multi-level, which is, hey, there's different ways to make money. That's a way to make
That's
money.
the way to make money.
But it's very the pushy, and a lot of times, and uh, I'm personally
It's a turn off.
yeah, I've been in it. We've been in it in different multi-level marketing, and I wasn't a fan of it personally
Mm-hmm.
because it's constantly recruiting. You have to recruit, and I'm not a big fan. But yeah, I had some people multiple times. People have approached me at the grocery store.
But you look like the type that would buy a.
I guess so. They're selling some sort of coaching or services, and it's multi-level. You know, you can tell. We've had a bunch of. You can tell when it's a multi-level marketing, or affiliate marketing, or whatever you want to call it. You can just see it in the. But hey, there's
in the
different
approach.
Yes, yeah, but there's different ways. What I think is, a lot of times with those, it's somebody who's just part time trying to do something like
Right,
that.
right.
And
We're not knocking anybody.
no,
At one point in time, I had 3 jobs. So, and one of them
no,
was
and we've been in the multi-level
Yeah,
marketing.
we've
We
been
tried
in
it.
So we're not knocking anybody. We're not trying to.
Maybe yeah. If it worked for us, maybe we would have a different perspective.
Well, I mean, it's the with everything is the approach. You asked me about the journal, the ledger, right?
Yeah,
It's tremendously. It allows me to stay extremely organized. I'm very, very organized.
yeah,
So when I'm prepping my week, okay, on Sunday night, I'm looking at my previous week because it gives me like a heads up because
yeah,
I prep my future week, my coming week. I have follow ups from the previous week and maybe follow up from the previous week before that because you don't reach the way we do things, we're not pushy, right? So we're more relaxed in that sense. So sometimes it takes a little longer.
sure.
Like now we're following up with this guy. We've been to his office 3 times and we've left him like 5 messages. And the gentleman does not return the calls. Now, we've never met him. So it's not like we said something that offended him or anything like that.
Yeah,
He's a businessman in the area. He's
Yeah.
probably extremely busy. But, we'll catch him one day.
right.
And we'll say, hey, we've been trying to catch up with you. And then at that point, based on his demeanor
Mm-hmm.
and what he says and how he is,
Maybe it leads to something.
and maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe not. You can't draw water out of a dry rock. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to know when to also say, okay, this,
Yeah.
no problem.
Moving on.
Yes.
Because also you want to spend your energy on the people that will
correct.
be open to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the ledger helps me to stay extremely organized.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
I-
your memory
Well,
is helpful.
yeah, because I review it.
Yeah,
On Sunday nights, I just take a moment to myself. Some people meditate, Some people play golf. Some people watch a movie. I take a moment, and it doesn't take me that long now. In 30 minutes, I've got it all capped out.
yeah,
And, I take 30 minutes and I look at my previous week. Oh, yeah, I got that. Oh, and
Yeah.
this and this and that. And I have to do it because if I'm getting, whether it's city permits or putting up this or this place leaked. I gotta get the roofer over here. I gotta get.
And even then, like today, you're expecting somebody at 11, and that's tomorrow.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, no, it's happened to me too.
That's right.
Where I
But it was in my ledger
on the wrong day.
on the right day.
Oh, so you were going off of memory that time.
That's right. If I would have looked at my ledger, and the reason that it threw me off is because we were going to be in that area 2 times this week. And the week has flown by.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. There are things that happen in my week that are constants. Okay? We won't get into them, but there's usually on Monday I get this, on Tuesday I get that, Wednesday this happens, this person, whatever, right? And this week, those constants went out the door. Those constants were not there.
So it threw you off, maybe?
But listen to me, the lesson to me, what I need to learn is stick to my ledger. Because I still did my Sunday night review and ritual. So if I would have stuck to my ledger, that mistake would not have been made. Fortunately,
I guess we're all still learning.
We're all human. We all make mistakes. Number one here. Lots of mistakes.
AI,
made a bunch, continue to make.
Yeah, but AI is going to fix that.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Woo. But it's interesting because, if I would have stuck to my ledger.
Yeah. Yeah, and that works for you. I personally don't do it that way.
Right.
Everything is on my calendar, but
well, you're the new generation.
But I do see the value in that.
What did we learn last night? Or what did you learn last night that you told me? 73% of all interactions are done
digital communication. Yeah. You guys fact check that, but that's one of the pitches at the event was that 75% of all communications 75% of all communications are online, digital somehow.
Today.
Text, phone, email.
Nowadays.
Yeah. Current.
Think about that for a sec.
Yeah. Yeah, because
that's tremendous.
I mean, we meet people because we're, like you say, on the streets, and we like going places, and then we stumble across and happen to run. Like we met a gentleman who was really cool, a business owner, longtime resident of a certain area, of a certain city, knew a ton of history. He's got his business there, and we ran into him once. He spent maybe 30 minutes with us.
35 minutes.
Really nice guy.
Showing us things,
showing us
his property.
Talking to us about the city. And then we've gone back a couple times.
3 times.
To say hello again.
And I have a bottle of wine for him.
And you have a bottle, and we were in the area a lot. And so, hey, let's see if he's there.
3 times.
Nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found because he's busy.
Because he's busy. So if we wouldn't have happened to be there that time and that day.
But that's how things happen.
Sure. That is how things happen. And but you can't, that part of the marketing that we do and that people do when they go door knocking or visiting businesses or whatever, that part of it, you can't, there's no way, that's not a controllable variable.
Correct.
Because people may not be there, they may be there, maybe they're out, the rain, whatever. So,
but I see some people say, hey, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah. The more that you do it.
That's, it's a prime example. The more we do, the luckier we get. Because if we were going to time this guy, now we're finding out it's almost impossible to catch him. Yeah. But we caught him that day just by chance.
Yeah.
So that's how things happen.
I love it. So we need to continue to follow up and see where it takes us.
Yeah, to a good place.
God willing.
Yeah, all right.
We'll wrap it up.